Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another edition of Intuitive Angling. Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your 4th of July afternoon to check the video out. And today we are going to revisit and sort of give an update on this whole braid to fluorocarbon controversy that has somehow got stirred up here on the channel over the past year. If you guys have seen some of the stuff, you guys know that I don't use braid to fluorocarbon. I don't like it. I think it's a poor choice, and I've laid out my argument for that. And I did a video day for yesterday. I mentioned something about it briefly in passing, and even briefly in passing, I got a ton of comments about people that were offended that I would suggest straight fluorocarbon over braid to fluorocarbon. So I want to revisit this a little bit and sort of talk about some additional points of it to sort of maybe get a better understanding what we're talking about. First of all, I have never seen a topic in my life that raises more outrage when I suggest going to straight fluorocarbon. People take it personally. They get offended by it. It's like I insulted their wife or their mom or something like that when I say that braid to fluorocarbon is a poor choice. And I think a lot of times when people get offended about something like that so adamantly, they may be insecure in their decisions to some extent. So my point is, let me give a little refresher here of what we're talking about, then I'm gonna give some additional stuff, what I'm talking about on the braid to fluorocarbon. First of all, I've experimented extensively for years with using braid to fluorocarbon, using different knots for braid to fluorocarbon, using different lures for braid to fluorocarbon, using straight fluorocarbon, using straight braid. I've done it all. It's not like I'm sitting here talking about that I've come up to this conclusion just sitting out here in the yard or something. And it's been my conclusion from my experimentation that going to straight fluorocarbon is a better system. It's more efficient, it gets you more bites, it's more angler friendly. It's just an overall better way to fish. I don't know where this whole braid to fluorocarbon deal got started, but in my opinion, most of the people that use braid to fluorocarbon do so because they see other people doing it. They've seen pros do it. They think that's just the way you have to do it. There's a lot of people out there, guys, that have never used straight fluorocarbon because they were raised in the environment of braid to fluorocarbon. Here's my argument about you're going to say, oh, Randy, you get your butt kicked by all those guys that use braid to fluorocarbon, Brent Earler, Chris Zaldain, Brandon Polinick, all that type of stuff. I got a tremendous amount of respect for those dudes. I do. I mean, they are awesome anglers. But I'm telling you guys right now, and I would tell them the same thing, braid to fluorocarbon is not getting them any more bites. They are not getting bit more because they're using braid to fluorocarbon. If anything, they're getting less bites because of the visibility of the braid, regardless how long your leader is, depending upon the water clarity. My argument to them is like, yeah, they just won this tournament with 60 pounds of smallmouth on braid to fluorocarbon. If they were using straight fluorocarbon, they may have had 65 pounds. That's my argument to them. Braid to fluorocarbon, we talked about this before, one of the biggest problems with it is you have two weak links. You've got a knot for your braid to fluorocarbon, you've got a knot for your leader. Right off the bat, that's a negative in my opinion because, it takes a lot of time to retie. If you're out in a boat in 3-foot waves, it takes forever to do that. But one of the biggest problems with braid to fluorocarbon, guys, is it creates a laziness effect where people do not want to retie enough because it shortens their leader and they're wondering if their leader's too short and they got to retie the main line and they tend to go too long without retying. I have seen it over and over again with the guys that use it with my co-anglers. I retie all the time. I mean, I may retie 30 or 40 times with straight fluorocarbon if I'm fishing a shaky head or some type of bottom bounce and lure, and people do not do that with braid to fluorocarbon. I've been in boats with guys that start out with a 10-foot leader, and by the end of the day, they got down to a 2-foot leader because they don't want to retie, and they're getting less and less bites as the shorter their leader goes. So from that standpoint, I just feel that it's a negative. And another different thing with that, people don't give bass enough credit for the awareness they have. You can't tell me when you use a yellow leader and you've got your fish and water visibility that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 foot clarity, that even if you've got a 20-foot leader, that they can't detect that yellow line coming into the water. They can detect a minnow at midnight swimming around in the water, they can surely detect a piece of yellow line coming into the water. To me, that's a strike negative. That's nothing that's going to get you more strikes. I hear this argument all the time. People say, well, you know, I can make longer casts, or I can get better feel, or I can detect a strike better. Guys, I'll tell you one of the biggest things about fishing, you do not want to detect the strike that early, because most of the time, if you detected a strike and you feel like you're like some live nerve ending and set the hook too soon, you're going to miss more of those fish that you're going to catch. I would rather have the hesitation of having a delayed effect and feeling the strike to let the bass take the bait a little bit more, and I catch a lot more fish doing that. You know, the longer casts with it, I will give that to you guys. Longer casts, for the most part, you can make longer casts with braid to fluorocarbon. You can also do the same thing with dropping down on a pound test on your line, with feeling your spool right, with knowing how to cast with the right type of wrist power. That is the one advantage it probably has. But one of the another thing that a lot of people don't take into consideration is I see a lot of people, they message me all the time. It's like I got the dang chickens down here. They message me all the time about, it's like, you know, Randy, is it okay to use braid to fluorocarbon on a jerk bait or crank bait or something like that? A lot of guys use it for everything. Guys, that's one of the worst things that you can do, is ever use braid to fluorocarbon on any type of a moving bait, because what happens is you've multiplied the amount of having not any line stretch with that. And when you're fishing moving baits, you need some type of a line stretch for a couple different reasons. You need it to get proper action on the bait. If you don't have line stretch and some type of give, you simply can't get the reactionary motion out of jerk baits and crank baits. And also you need that little bit of slack, little bit of stretch for the bass to take the bait deeper in their mouth and to fight the fish better once you've got that fish hooked. So there's a lot of different aspects that go with it with that. And, you know, and the big thing that got me turned off about it is, like, 4 years ago, I would have won the U.S. Open at Lake Mead, but my co-angler broke off 2 really big smallmouth with his braid to fluorocarbon knot. And braid to fluorocarbon knots will fail. I don't care, all you guys say, well, the FG knot's infallible and all this type of stuff. It's a knot. It can fail. There's stuff that can happen to it. The line can get burned as you're cinching it. It can be frayed and you don't know. It's simply another weak link. So my point of the whole thing here is, guys, don't get offended, you know, simply because I'm telling you guys to go to straight fluorocarbon, which I'm suggesting that you do. What are you doing there? Huh? You got that chicken? Okay, let me finish the video here. No, I don't want her on me. Okay. Don't get offended by the fact I'm telling you that it's a better idea to go to straight fluorocarbon. Experiment with yourself. To me, it's all about getting bit. I want to get as many bites as I can get. And going to braid to fluorocarbon, if you guys are using it, it's not helping you zero. You're getting 0 more bites by going to braid to fluorocarbon over straight fluorocarbon. You got to get bit first before you can get those fish in the boat. And that's why going to straight fluorocarbon will get you more bites for a lot of different reasons. So anyway, like I said, I'm just throwing that out there again because I got a lot of different comments about it. Don't take it personal. You guys don't need to get bent out of shape if you don't agree with it. It is? Okay, we'll fix it here in a second. You don't need to get bent out of shape about it. Spend some time experimenting. I spent years, guys, I spent years using braid to fluorocarbon. I spent years practicing different braid to fluorocarbon knots and then fishing straight fluorocarbon. And then I made my determination based upon years of experimentation. So unless you've experimented with straight fluorocarbon and straight braid the equal amount of time, then it's hard to pass judgment on that till you've done that. So my advice, guys, you know, put away the braid to fluorocarbon, get that straight fluorocarbon out there. It's going to get you more bites. It's just going to be a better way to catch fish. So we'll talk later. See you.